Hey guys, in today's video I want to talk about my 24th Spinraza injection. I just received my Spinraza injection last Thursday, and by the time this video gets uploaded it will be 1 week later, exactly one Thursday after my injection. And everything went great with the procedure. By great I'm talking about no complications had arose or nothing major had occurred. Everything had went great in terms of that aspect. Now, after the procedure, this has been probably around my 4th, maybe 5th time after all of these injections, where when I woke up feeling sore. And I remember prior to a while back, my doctor had told us, by us I'm talking about my mother and I, because my mother is always there at my bedside, especially when it comes to my medical needs and procedures and everything. And I am very fortunate for that. But a while back, my doctor had came to us, and so for those of you who are unfamiliar with what Spinraza is and how it is administered, it is essentially a lumbar puncture. So picture a spinal tap, but instead of them going at the lower part of your spine or your lower part of your back doing a spinal tap, doing a lumbar puncture, they have to go at the bottom of my lower left buttocks and angle the needle at an angle to access the lower part of my spine to get to that area that is needed because of my severe scoliosis. Because of my severe scoliosis, they cannot do it the ordinary way for the ordinary individual. So for me, it's a bit more complex, with a lot more risk involved with this kind of procedure when I take Spinraza. So having that said, is after every injection, they always go through the same, or they always try to do the injection the same way that they always have been, because it is the most accessed area for them to give Spinraza, for them to administer Spinraza, because again, my severe scoliosis, it makes the procedure a lot more complex for the ordinary individual. And they have other options as well, but those options are a little bit more riskier and a little bit more difficult. So once they found this area where they could get to, is they go at an angle, and there's just like this perfect small access hole that the needle is able to slip through that can get them to the area that is needed to administer the Spinraza. So because of that, they always gone the same route to administer Spinraza. The reason why I am sharing all of this with you is because the past 4 to 5 times I have been receiving my injections, I remember my doctor had said previously before that because they are going the same route every time now is pretty consistent, is I am developing scar tissue inside. So it makes it a little bit harder for the needle to penetrate through to get to that spot. So the reason why I'm sharing that with you is because these past 4 to 5 injections, I have been waking up feeling sore. By sore, I'm talking about like it's really hard for me to move. I'm sore around the injection site. I'm sore at the lower part of my back. There was about 2 to 3 times, I want to say about like 3 times roughly, where when I woke up from the procedure, it was hard for me to sit up. And there was 2 incidents, if I can remember accurately, where I couldn't sit up at all. And literally I was laying in my hospital bed here at home, and I couldn't sit up. Like the pain was that severe and that intense. The ambulance had to come pick me up. They had to transfer me onto their gurney and transport me to the hospital. And long story short, they had to give me some steroids and some pain medication to help subside the pain, because the pain was so severe and so intense, where it was lasting for several days after the injection. So the pain now isn't that severe like my previous injections, or more so that previous time when I had to ride in the ambulance to the hospital. It's not that severe, but it is pretty intense. Like, I am not showing it here on camera, but when I lean back, it's is throbbing, to say the least. And these past several nights, when I try to go to sleep, fall asleep, it's been, I don't want to say unbearable, but it's pretty difficult for me to fall asleep because the pain is so severe and so intense. And I do have pain medication here at home, and it helps a little bit, but it doesn't help substantially. So it does relieve some comfort, which I am fortunate that I even have that to help with it. But it's just been quite the journey since the injection. And normally after my injections, where they do the injection site, I'm always usually itchy in that area. And by itchy, I'm talking about like it's, when you get that itch and you just want to scratch it all the time until you scratch it so much where it burns or you start to peel the skin a little bit. It usually gets like that from my prior injections, but today, or not, let me rephrase that, not today, but this recent injection, it has been the complete opposite. It hasn't been itching, it's just been like straight pain, to say the least. And I am bearing through it, I am getting through it. It is subsiding. These past several days, it was pretty intense. But today I did wake up a little bit where it was subsiding a little bit, which is great news, right? Which is great news. But yesterday I woke up with my respiratory, so I'm not only dealing with that, right? So my injection, everything went good. And two, when I woke up from my mom said I'm not bruised in the area, which is good news as well. It just hurts internally, like inside. So there's little bruising, but not as much as I have had bruising where the injection site was. But two is so not only am I dealing with that, but I also, yesterday I woke up feeling congested with my respiratory. By congested, I'm talking about I woke up wheezing, I was coughing up phlegm, my nose was running, I had a massive headache because one, due to the procedure, due to the Spinraza injection, which is one of the primary side effects, but also because I woke up with a headache because of my Spinraza injection, which is one of the primary side effects, but also my nose was pretty stuffed up as well, so that doesn't help either with my headache. So I was pretty congested, I was coughing, I was wheezing yesterday. Started taking my medications, that did help a lot. And fortunately yesterday I was also able to cough up a lot. So because of that, today I woke up feeling better with my respiratory, which is a good thing. Like I didn't wake up feeling congested or wheezing or anything in that nature. I did wake up with my nose stuffed up, my nose running, which is a good thing because when your nose is running, at least it's coming out. And it's not staying in and building up. So that was a good thing. That is a plus. I just have a massive headache because of my congestion. And yeah, so I'm dealing with that as well with my respiratory. And then of course the back pain because of the injection. And I wanted to document this process because I think it's important for me to kind of document this process as well, and to share also with all of you who are curious about how my injections go and how I feel. So I wanted to kind of document this process about how my Spinraza injection has gone. And for those of you wondering if this has been consistent, where it sounds consistent, where these past several times when I have been taking Spinraza injection, and it seems like it's bringing me a lot of pain, the pain is only for a little bit. From what I can remember, it lasts, depending on the severity of it, it can last, several weeks. And I get the injection every 4 months. But the way I feel right now, and reflecting off of my past experiences, feeling slightly similar, is I think I will be feeling like this for about maybe 2 weeks. I don't see it getting to 3 weeks, but I think I will be feeling like this for 2 weeks. And on the bright side, it is subsiding, so that is a huge upside. But for those of you wondering, it sounds like it has been consistent with me feeling this severe pain after every injection. And how come I don't try anything different? There are other treatments available, and I have thought about that. Like, I have sat and thought about it for quite some time, and this isn't just something that, this isn't just something that is new. It's not a new thought of mine. I have sat and thought about it for a very long while. Like, should I stop taking Spinraza and try something different? And I have sat and thought about that for a while, and I just can't see myself switching to an alternative when I have seen so much progress from taking Spinraza. And for those of you who do not know, is before I started taking Spinraza, I was in high school at the time, and my SMA is progressive. And at the time I was in high school, and I was struggling a lot with like writing. I was struggling. You're in school, so when you're in school, what happens? You're writing a lot. You're doing classwork. You're moving your upper mobility to participate in certain school activities. A lot of work goes into it. Like math, English, history work, all that stuff, right? So there's a lot of writing. There's a lot of notes taking, and there's a lot that you do when you're in high school. So at the time I was in high school, and I began to struggle quite a lot, where I do remember I did get to the point where I had to ask my teacher, who for those of you who do not know, is in high school I took regular ed classes, but I always had one special education teacher to help me with like make accommodations or anything that I needed in my other regular ed classes. So I did take like ordinary math, such as like algebra and geometry, and I did take ordinary English and ordinary is it government? I think it's government. Economics, and I took ordinary like classes, but I always had one special education teacher to kind of help me with like any needs that I needed to help me with my other classes. Maybe I needed a special desk, which I didn't, but that was an option. If I needed certain accommodations, such as when tests would arise, maybe I need a certain time because it's just one of those days when I am feeling more fatigued than usual. So I had those advantages or opportunities by me having those special education teachers or teacher, to help make necessary accommodations if needed. I really didn't, which was a good thing, and I tried my absolute best to kind of fit in and be ordinary, or not be ordinary, but kind of like try not to be so much different in a classroom. Like as it is, you're rolling into a wheelchair, so you automatically feel slightly different in a way. But fortunately for me, I was very talkative, I was very outgoing, and none of my classmates made me feel different. They never saw me for being in a chair. They saw me for being me, a person, a friend. And I was very fortunate that I had classmates like that. And where I was going with that is, at the time, I was struggling. I started to struggle a little bit more with my classwork and everything, and the talks would occur with my special education teacher, Mrs. Crone, and extraordinary teacher. And she was like, hey, like if you need help, like let us know, and Mr. G can help you. That's who we call him, which is one of the assistants, and or someone who would assist someone with a disability, especially with their classwork, such as like taking notes, for example, if it became a little bit too much, or if you needed any help with anything else as well, like those opportunities were presented. So I was fortunate for that. So she was like, hey, like if you need help with your, like if you're struggling, like it's okay, it's understandable, like if you need some assistance, like let us know, we can help someone sit next to you and take notes for you, or help you with whatever it is you needed. So those conversations were starting to be talked about, because I was starting to decline physically for a while, and I think too at the time I was like off and on with my respiratory as well, so that didn't help either. And long story short is I did need some assistance for a very short while. I want to say maybe like a week, maybe 2 weeks. I don't think it went on any longer, but I did need some assistance in class. So I started to struggle, and at this time there was no form of treatment available. So I am just living and living with a progressive disability. And fast forward some time is my wheelchair was being worked on, and while my chair was being worked on, I didn't have a secondary wheelchair to help me get around the house. So I had to stay in bed and wait for my wheelchair to be brought back to me. So I was laying in bed and I'm just watching TV and on my phone, and I remember my mom's phone rings. To cut everything extremely short, is we got a phone call saying that there was a very first treatment available for SMA, and I was a potential candidate for Spinraza, and I had to go do lab work as soon as possible to see if I would be a candidate to receive Spinraza. And as you can imagine, it was exciting news to go from no form of treatment and to be feeling this progressive disability sneaking up on you a little bit more, and to now hear this news that there is not a cure but a treatment, to help with your progressive disability. As you can imagine, it was like a moment of overwhelmed joy and hope, right? As you can imagine. So I did my test. Long story short, is I started taking Spinraza shortly after. I want to say it was like a few months of process, and I started taking Spinraza, and I started to see increase. I started to see progress from struggling with writing to me, going back to my normalcy. From me struggling with like feeding myself, to me being able to pick up a utensil to my normalcy. So a lot of things that I started to struggle with in the process started to not be so much of a challenge or so much of a struggle for me ever since I started taking Spinraza. So the reason why I am sharing this with you is because I have had, that deep thought, and I sat down and thought, for a while, like, is it time for me to stop taking Spinraza and try an alternative? And when I reflect off of my past experience, from being 5 years old and 10 years after being 5, at the age of 5 years old, I was pushing myself in a manual wheelchair because I had the physical mobility to do so. I had the physical strength to do so. So 10 years later, at the age of 15, I no longer had the physical strength to push myself, where I needed to be in a powerized wheelchair to get me around. To 10 years after that, which is from 15 to 25, I am currently 26, but to fast forward to just about present time, is I am still in a power wheelchair, but I am starting to struggle a little bit more with like my neck support. Chewing red meats, I really don't eat red meats anymore. It's a little bit harder for me to chew and swallow, so I am slowly starting to struggle with that. I'm slowly starting to struggle with my neck support, and there's other things that you slowly start to see slipping away from you. Things that you were able to do with nearly ease or with simplicity, starts to become a challenge and starts to become a bit more of a struggle for you. So that's like my life. It's all about things. It's all about being able to do something yesterday to waking up today, having that very thing slowly slipping away from you. So I have had those conversations with myself and those deep thoughts of like, should I stop taking Spinraza because, these past several injections, it sounds like it brings me a lot of pain, and more so in the beginning. And I sat and thought about that, and I reflect off of my past experiences, from reflecting off of where I once was before I started taking Spinraza to now where I currently am after taking Spinraza for several years. And I just don't see me stopping Spinraza outweighing all of the benefits, that it brings me. yes, I do go through pain. But for me, I think pain is just candidly, part of my story and part of my life. It's something I think I will always go through and experience, whether I show it, whether I talk about it or not. And, and all I can do is simply just adapt within the process. So until like something, I'm gonna knock on wood here, I hope not, but until like something really drastic happens where it's like, okay, this is the drawing point, this is a line that, I do need to stop, until like something really bad happens, or until like the pain really, really becomes too unbearable and it prolongs longer than normal, then I will start thinking of alternatives. But until then, I think me taking these injections, I see the benefits, I see the pros outweighing a lot of the cons. So that's why I still continue to take Spinraza. I wanted to mention this and talk about this within this video because I think, one, it is very important for me to document with the history on this YouTube channel, and two, I think it can be informative for someone else, thinking about taking Spinraza. Like, this is my story. I am one story of many taking Spinraza, and I am just fortunate enough to have the opportunity and ability to share my experience with all of you. I think that's pretty extraordinary to live in a time where I am able to do so. Again, I wanted to document this process, talk about this process, talk about my 24th Spinraza injection. If I'm correct, it's my 24th, maybe 25th injection. According to my records, it's 24 injections. If I am accurate by me keeping track of it. And and a little bit of a life update, because again, I talked a little bit about my respiratory as well. I think I will be fine. Earlier today, at the time of this recording, today is currently the 29th. This video will be uploaded the 1st, I believe the 1st is a Thursday. This video will be uploaded this Thursday. And I wanted to, earlier today, again, at the time of this recording, I woke up, my respiratory was feeling better with me feeling congested wise, but I was feeling miserable. Like, my nose was running. I had a massive full-blown headache. I didn't want to talk. Like, I felt very sluggish. I felt very drained. My eyes were watery because I was sneezing, and my nose was running. My head is pounding, and this morning, to say the least, I woke up feeling miserable. And there was like a portion of me, where I was like, am I going to have to go to the hospital? And for those of you who know me and who has been keeping up with my content for a while, or maybe even if you know me personally, I tend to push the limits with my body and what I can do, and I kind of wait sometimes before it is too late, for me to go in. I am a little bit stubborn in that ratio. I like to kind of fight it off and tough it out here at home. And, there's been times when I would wait too long and I would collapse here at the house, or it becomes a conversation of, instead of me going to the ER, it's all about the ambulance having to pick me up, because I tend to wait too long. I tend to push myself a little bit too hard in that aspect. So the reason why I was bringing that up as well is because, earlier today I kind of felt like that possibility arising. Am I going to have to go to the hospital? Like, I really did feel like that. I went outside for about 15 minutes or so, and I was just in direct sunlight, just kind of collect my mind and try to calm myself, because, I'm not feeling good. And when I woke up and the way I was feeling, I was like, if you don't record content, and if you happen to not upload content on your YouTube channels, for 2 weeks, you skip a week, maybe you skip 2 weeks, or God forbid something worse happens and you happen to miss 3 weeks, like, so be it, and I kind of had to have that self-talk with myself as well. Like, your health is priority, and it is. But two, something that really kind of keeps me going and optimistic and keeps my spirit elevated is, uploading content, sharing my life experiences with you, sharing what I know to help you through what it is you go through. Like, that's what keeps me going. That gives me drive. That gives me purpose. So I kind of try to push myself, like, I know you don't feel good, but hey, try to upload content if you can. Because somewhere, I feel like there's someone that really needs to come across my message or come across something I say in that moment of time, and I don't want to rob them of that opportunity when they could happen to come across my message. So I kind of look at that in that aspect as well, to kind of show up for you regardless of how I feel, especially with where it is I am trying to go. I am trying to become a global figure that shares his story, shares what he knows, and helps other people through their process. And I know that, if it is destined for me and it is part of God's plan for me to live that kind of lifestyle and have that kind of responsibility, right? To have that big responsibility, I know there are going to be days when I won't be feeling great. There are going to be days when I won't be feeling good at all. But, if someone happens to get tickets to show up to my speech or get tickets to see me, I don't know if they're in my hometown or if they are driving several hours on the road or taking a plane ticket, that takes several hours, even 24 hours just to see me at that event. I kind of like to use moments like this to kind of prepare me for situations like that, because I know in the future there are going to be days when I won't be feeling good, and I still have to show up and try to become the best possible version with myself, because somewhere somebody needs to hear my message at that moment in time. And if I can create that opportunity to help someone else and be of service to someone else, like, that's what I live for. It gives me drive, it gives me purpose to find ways on how I can show up for you in hopefully the best way possible, regardless of how I feel. So I apologize if my energy is not the greatest in this video. I am experimenting. I am currently changing the setup, the way on how I record, and so I apologize if my energy is not the greatest, if my communication is not the most effective, it's not the best, but I wanted to talk about this experience and share this experience with you. I don't think I will end up in the hospital. I think I will be okay. I think I will be fine. I am feeling a lot better after me being in the sun for like 15-20 minutes or so, and drinking a lot of water. I know that is helping me a lot as well, along with taking my medication as well. So I know that is helping as well. And my pain, the pain that I have been feeling ever since my injection, it is subsiding, so that is good news. So that's not too much of a concern for me, because it has, been like just about a week. It's been 5 days since my injection, but it is subsiding, so I am optimistic that maybe within another week or so I will be feeling back to my normalcy, which is feeling discomfort, but not as severe as I currently am feeling now. And two, with my respiratory, the way I have been feeling like drained, sluggish, tired. Yesterday I woke up congested. Today I woke up with like a runny nose and just feeling drained, tired, watery eyes. I didn't want to do anything because I just wasn't feeling good. And I went outside, got in the sun for a little bit. I took advantage of that opportunity to be in the sun, and I started to feel a little bit better, and I wanted to record content to, push myself. Like, I know you don't feel good, but hey, you people, I know you don't feel good, but show up for other people, regardless of how you feel. So I kind of pushed myself in that aspect. because again, somebody somewhere, looks forward to my messages. And whoever that is, I appreciate you, and I really, really have a lot of love for you. By you supporting my channel, watching my content, engaging with my content, it really, really means the world to me. And I hope that whatever it is you are going through, that I hope that you find the strength to persevere and the faith to hold on to that hope that tomorrow will be better, next week will be better, next month will be better, and continue to take one step at a time, because that is all it takes. I appreciate you, I love you, and remember, grow through what you go through. Much love. And go to becomethevictor.com if you want to learn more about my personal ebook. I created an ebook by go to becomethevictor.com. Excuse me, I'm getting tongue twisted here. Go to becomethevictor.com if you want to learn tools that I have learned within my life that has helped me go from, desperation to being optimistic, from going to feeling stuck to feeling driven. If you want to go from, feeling like you're surrounded by obstacles and challenges and struggles and trials and tribulations, to you wanting to find the strength and the faith to get through all of these trials and tribulations within your path, go to becomethevictor.com, because I have created a digital ebook where I literally have words that has helped me get through a lot of my challenges. Living with a progressive disability, as you can imagine, is not the easiest thing to endure through. Growing older and seeing things slowly slipping away from you is not the easiest thing to go through. Living in and out of the hospital at such a very young age, whether that is me having surgeries at a very young age, experiencing immense pain, undergoing ammonias and collapsed lungs, having ICU visits, going through a lot of these challenges at a young age, and everything that I have gone through within my life, the struggles, the challenges, the trials and turbulent paths within my life, those dark valleys that I had to endure through mentally, even emotionally and spiritually. I created a digital ebook of information, of tools that I like to call it, that has helped me. And I created them in an ebook to help other people get through what it is they too are going through. Forgive me, I got a little bit tongue twisted. Again, I am not feeling the greatest, but I wanted to mention that as well. I love you. I appreciate you. Subscribe if you are new to the channel. Like the video if you enjoyed my content, and comment down below what you learned from this video, or what it is you hope for me to talk about in a future video. Take care. Much love.